Why lazy game improvement irons is possibly a good thing for beginners. If you're a beginner or know someone that's just starting the game, I'm going to show you how you can use the manufacturer's copy and paste method, especially with their game improvement irons year on year to your advantage. And this whole video originated from these irons which I got off Facebook for £180. They're actually listed for £200 and I said would they do them for 180, and they said yes, which to me means only one thing: years and years of great game improvement irons coming out from manufacturers year on year without necessarily that much difference or advantage. But the same couldn't have been said 50 years ago or even 30 years ago in terms of the golf clubs that are available to the beginner player. Hand built, crafted, typically from your local professional, to nowadays, even if we go back 10 years, and just like all technology over the last 20 years until this point, we've seen massive improvements in all areas, and golf is definitely no exception. And as the ceiling of the rules of this game staying exactly the same, it's very difficult to see, especially over the last 5 years, any difference in head design when it comes to game improvement irons. And by no stretch of the imagination am I saying that all irons that have been produced over the last 5 years or so are a complete waste of time and lazy, because if anything, I think with the P790 release, everyone's had to up their game in terms of aesthetically pleasing from above, i.e. a player's iron, whilst packing in the forgiveness underneath. However, when it comes to the generic cast cavity back iron, I think it's just a case of stick a new badge on it. And when you look at that timeline, it makes complete sense where we've got this notion as golfers that year on year technology is improving drastically. Even 20 years ago, new discoveries in machinery and methods and technology, carbon, graphite, you name it. But I bring you back to the Rogues that I have in the bag here, because when I went to check why the price of these was so cheap, not only second hand but also brand new, a lot of suppliers online at the moment, 5 to pitching wedge, $399, which to be honest is pretty reasonable considering you're going to get a warranty and obviously know that these haven't been touched. The grips in your faces are very much ready to go, and for me that does show an element of tremendous amount of supply and not necessarily that much demand. Ultimately, this is where I see the first real big advantage of the manufacturers essentially doing copy and paste over the last 5 to 8 years. A beginner realistically can go and get fitted, pay for a fitting, £30–40 for the new Stealth iron, for the new Ping G425, for the Callaway Rogue ST, and because all manufacturers in the last 5 to 8 years, this is the smallest amount of change we've ever seen in head design, lofts, different shafts, different grips, you're going to get a relatively decent fitting and match to something that came out 5 years ago. If you went down the Callaway Rogue ST route, go and have a look at some of these Rogues that I have in the bag here. $399 brand new, or even on eBay, you can find a set that's altered to the same spec you got, half an inch longer, 2 degrees upright. I can hear some of you screaming, Simon, that's not the exact match. The head lofts aren't exactly the same, the shafts aren't going to be exactly the same. And even if I put to one side manufacturers that build, design, custom fitted clubs and send them out to you have tolerances, so therefore that set won't be exactly the same as what you tried in the fitting room, beginner golf swings change all the time. Even the idea from the manufacturer's point of view is that beginner game improvement irons are cheaper than all the rest. They want you to start the game with their de-lofted, high launching irons, super forgiving, get you out on the golf course and start getting you better scores, because ultimately you're going to stay loyal to that brand. And again, use this knowledge to your advantage. Irons haven't changed over the last 5 years, especially in the game improvement cast iron section. Copy and paste, take the driver that they've designed, put the logo on the back of it, whether it's Sim2, Callaway Maverick, you name it, and then go and get yourself a decent set of game improvement irons without having to spend £110 a stick. If there's one thing I want a beginner watching this video to take away from this, is that it's absurd to think even the best club fitter in the world will be able to fit a brand new golfer 3 months in, 6 months in, within an hour period to the perfect iron head, shaft, grip, for that person's journey over the next year, 2 years, is absurd. And that's not to say that that person didn't do a good job. The only reason that I cannot lose sleep and recommend to you guys to go and try 250, 300 pound second-hand sets of Rogues, Mavericks, Sims, Ping G30s is that if I'm wrong and you don't like them, you can still sell them within 6 months, a year, for the exact same price. Whereas if you did get fitted for brand new game improvement irons and then were to have a lesson, the same can't be said to the value of the set that you just bought. And lastly, a few things you need to take away from this video, as it's only going to get better from here. I'm going to do a review on these Rogues in 10 years time, and because the laws of physics haven't changed, these are still going to go an extremely long way and still have ultimate forgiveness as long as the rules of golf stay exactly the same. And because we would have had another 10 years of irons basically copy and pasted from the logo of the new driver that's been brought out that year, there's going to be an incredible amount of supply of extremely good irons for you guys that have just started, and that ultimately is a good thing, as it will make this game more and more accessible, as it's going to close the gap even more in terms of price of second-hand clubs, while still keeping the technology and performance of all the brand new stuff. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, and if you like this video, go and check up this one here on the left hand side. Catch you guys there.